Hey, what's up? It's Kit. Time for another video. Um, Today we're gonna be tying a rig for an assist hook rig for one of my all-time favorite lures. All-time favorite jigs. This is the Storm Gomoku Koika. Of course, this assist hook is also applicable to its clones. Okay. Now I'm not gonna talk about the merits of whatever, but I'll tell you this: the Koika is such a good lure that it is practically one of the most copied, and that's just a fact. You know, it's really one of the most copied because it's so easy to use. It's very effective, and all around, you can even catch fish with this jig while it's lying on the bottom. And I'm very honest about this. I have caught doing that so many times, and it's one of those very few jigs that can do it. And it's not luck, it's not luck. It's the amount of times where you just actually, just as a prank, just drop it down to the bottom and not move it, and then the fish just grabs it. It just happens. Okay. So for this one, we're gonna be using this hook. It is the JF23 4.0 size. We're gonna be using a 150-pound cord, and this is a solid cord. And we're gonna be using something different for the top. Now I've started this already with a thread wrap, and I'll bring you in closer so that you can see. Okay, so we are going to be tying this with the same method with a knot. The only thing that I've changed over to for this is actually a very thin thread, as you can see here. And I want to keep this tie as slim and as hydrodynamic as possible with very little drag, because I want the action of the Koika to shine through. Okay, so we've finished the first hook. Now what we need to do is measure up and see if okay, that's about right. So we will tie our next knot. Measuring, of course, is very important, because especially for this, you want it even, the top and bottom, and your bottom hook dictates the pace of your whole thing. You can afford to make a shorter front than the back, and essentially you're going to be wasting a bit more cordage for the back. This hook shape is actually really nice. Okay. And then this will be kind of difficult to tie if you don't protect yourself. Okay, so I use this just so when I tie, it's not going to get me in trouble. I have stabbed myself far too many times, and I don't want these things to bother me. A trick is to make your thread longer, so you don't really hit it that much. And you just have to really work on your accuracy for your thread wraps so that it's cleaner. If you're using thinner thread, in my case, this is very, very thin braid. Now, if you're using this, you are going to have to wrap so many times. Whereas if it's thick braid or thicker braid for thread, what's going to happen is you're going to have less, but it's going to get more bulky. It depends on the application, but for me, if I want less drag on the water, I use this very thin thread. And this is the case for this one, because with the Koika, I want the movement to shine through. Also, the reason why we're not putting any flash on this, because we're fishing really deep, and unless it's glow in the dark flash, it's not really going to do anything. So for stuff that's presented in the deep, it's really better to just keep it plain, so that basically what you want is for your jigs to move unobstructed. Okay, so we have this. Okay, now as you can see, roughly about half there. Okay, and what we want now is to put a solid ring. And let's take 2 solid rings. Now for my solid rings, it's very easy, okay? Solid rings and split rings, they're roughly the same size as the eye. Right there, as you can see. Very easy guide, just to keep things very consistent. Okay, so now put the solid ring. Then after this, what we're gonna do is do the front hooks. Okay, so putting the solid ring on is actually very easy. Same thing. You just loop, turn, and then put it back in, like so. Okay, it's gonna look like a jumbled mess, like that. But the magic happens when you start pulling it. And you have to pull it really tight so that the whole thing becomes very hydrodynamic and it's cinched in tight. If that's what you want. So pull tight, and it does 2 things. Firstly, it snugs this bit here, and then secondly, this. Okay, so you have to pull individually as well. Then once you have that, pull both of them together and it should snug everything down, and your knot should be quite low profile. So for the back hook, I don't like putting cord with inserts. So right there, you can see, sits perfectly. Now, what we need to do is make the front hook. And for the front hook, we'll take from Wael's stash here. Just a tad bit here. Okay. And this one has wire. So again, we're putting a knot at the very end. Okay. Cutting the thing close here, as close as possible. Burn it so it locks down. You'll see a very small bit of wire there. And try your hardest to actually snip it like that. So that's done. There's no wire sticking out anymore. We'll take 2 hooks. This comes in a pack of 6 for the size 4 for this particular hook. Okay. I'm not gonna glue things for now because I will glue them later on. Just heads up there. Okay. So I usually glue them in batches, and I have a lot, so that just in case I use up a bottle of super glue, I don't have to, well, I want to use up a bottle of super glue while I'm doing them, so that I throw the bottle right after and not worry about it drying up and all that. So just so you know, this has a tensioner, and each time I wrap, it actually is under a lot of tension. So my braid is getting stretched out. Very important, so that your connection point here is super tough. Make sure that's centered before you actually start cranking down. And when you're doing the first hook, it's relatively easy. It's when you start with the second hook that it's just complicated because of the hook, because of the first hook. So as you can see, I'm fond of actually doing 2 colors. Different front hook. Front hook, more than often than not, would be white for me, or any light color. And then the back hook would always be a dark color. Okay, so we have that. Now we start with the other one. Alright, so this cord's kind of long, so we have some excess here. Okay, just tightening this. Cut it very close again. See? Not that close, because we want just a little bit of that, and then just a little bit of the wire sticking out so we can still snip it. Bang, just like that, and then it's clean. Then we clip this like so we don't hook ourselves. Okay, now start binding this. Again, this is such a sketchy thing if you don't have this. And if you're wondering what that is, that's something that I bought in IKEA. It's a clip for junk food, for chips, and for anything that's in a plastic wrap. Basically use it to close it, or to close the loaf when you've opened it. Instead of that weird clip that it comes with, you use this. I don't know what it's called. Okay. So this is good. All we have to do now is just bring it forward and then close the wraps. Okay. There we go. And then you just need to put the solid ring. Okay. Again, solid ring. You put in like that. Okay. Loop it forward like that. Okay. Take this ear, twist it, put it over like that. So let me get this puller so you can see. Okay, so you form that. Again, pretty basic. And then just tighten. So tighten together first. Tighten together like that. Take one, pull, tighten. Take another, pull, tighten. Then do both again, tighten. That way they're equal. Okay, now see if this is twisting funny. Just position them, adjust, and they will fall into place like so. Done. Now all we have to do is just attach them with your split rings and we're finished. So let's back up a bit. Take 2 split rings. Okay. In the US, this is called the Williamson Koika. I don't know how popular it is there, but for you guys, if you are watching this and you don't have a clue of what this is literally one of the best jigs out there. I think the only pitfall for this is that they don't make this in weights over 250 grams. If this had a 400-gram version, it would be way up there with the big brand ones that actually have. Okay, so put the top. When you use this, finish it off with a split ring. A solid ring on top here. And that is it. So you have, see, they don't meet. Even if they do, they're not going to hook each other. But that's it right there. So very good rig for this. And I have caught so many on this jig. It's not even funny. It's literally one of my favorites. And if I can't find, well, not if, this is certain, I'm gonna have this made in heavier weights for sure. There we go. So that's a very nice rig for this, and that'll catch a lot of fish, man. I'm telling you. Alright, so that's it. If you have questions, give me a heads up in the comment section, and we'll sort you out. What do you guys think of this jig? And if you have experience with this jig, comment, because I want to hear some really good stories with this, because I have some really good stories with this. Okay, so yeah. What else is there? Yeah, that's it, I guess. Give it a thumbs up if you like this. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Class dismissed.